Talk about low-budget flights. No food or movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So, after a while, my Toy Story 3 review is finally here. As I said before, I didn't do this sooner because I was tired of making Pixar videos. Because I sure did a lot of those in one go. But now I'm finally back. And this will probably be my last Pixar video for a long time because I don't really have anything else I want to talk about with them. Without further ado, let's do it to it and dive on into Toy Story 3 and why it's a perfect ending. Okay, so first, there's the setup of the movie. One thing that I think is really interesting to know about this movie is that there's some really good videos on the canceled original plans for Toy Story 3, and they're pretty bad. There were about three different plans. One of them was, yes, it felt like a big movie, but the thing is, it didn't really feel like it was continuing anything the second movie set up. I mean, the second movie had all those themes of Woody asking questions like, Andy's gonna grow up one day, and then he'll get rid of me. Is it even worth going back to him to be played with him? Is it better just to stay in this museum where I never have to worry about any of that stuff? Because all of those are very interesting questions, but that draft, which is just about other stuff of the toys going on some kind of cross-country adventure or something, it was not very good, had nothing to do with any of that. Then there were these two other versions of revolving around a very similar idea. There were just two different versions of it, which were Andy goes on a trip to his grandmother's house, and the toys get involved in this crazy whodunit mystery, which was okay, but that didn't even at least feel like a big story like the other version of other draft for Toy Story 3 did. That just felt like some direct-to-video movie, which is definitely not what you want out of the third movie in this big franchise. The actual Toy Story 3 is great setup, which is, oh, one, I really like how it starts. After we see Andy playing with his toys, but as we see him getting a little bit older and older, and the song "You've Got a Friend in Me" plays, but it cuts off at the "Our friendship will never die" part. As we see that Andy is grown up now. He's going off to college pretty soon, and the toys finally have to face that. Yep, he's grown up. He's gonna have to finally decide if we're just gonna throw him in the attic or just get rid of him. Which all of them are very nervous about because, yeah, they all knew this day was going to come, is what he says. And he's trying to tell them that, don't worry, Andy, we matter to him. And we have, much like he said before, our purpose is to be there for him. So if he wants to throw us in the attic, he'll throw us in the attic. But of course, through a bunch of circumstances, they think he's not going to do that. They think he was going to throw them out, except for Woody, because he got tossed in Andy's box of things he was going to bring to college. So after all this, the toys, um, they nearly get thrown away, and then they end up in a donation box where they get shipped off to Sunnyside Daycare, which is where the plot really goes into gear. I like the idea of this a lot. It's the toys end up in a daycare, and they don't know what that is exactly, which, fair enough. And they find out that this is pretty much the best place they could have ended up at. Because they'll be played with by children for years and years and years. They'll never actually have any owners, so they'll never have to worry about being tossed out. And all of them are really happy for this, except for Woody. Because as he says, we are Andy's toys, we still matter to him. He did want to throw us in the attic. And if that's what he wanted to do, that's what he wanted to do. We have to listen to that. He doesn't want to do all of this. And he even just leaves. But Sunnyside is not quite as great as it seems. And that has to do with, well, I mean, one, especially after we see that there are two rooms here, and our toys get thrown, the main toys get thrown into the second room, where all the kids are a little younger than the ones in the other room, and they get beaten up really badly while they're being played with. They lose parts, they get covered in slobber, and it's really disgusting. But why does all this happen, really? Well, it has to do with the villain, Lotso. Lotso may just be the best Pixar villain, and it's not like Pixar has as many great villains as DreamWorks does, but The ones they have that are great are really great, and he's probably the best one. You see that. At first, I've seen a lot of people call Lotso a twist villain, which I don't think he really counts as a twist villain because it's not like Sticky Pete from the previous movie, or I don't know. Let me think of the twist villain. Okay, look, whatever. But the point is, he's not revealed in the third act like other twist villains are. It's not supposed to be some big surprise, really. Even though you might not think he's a villain, I think you're always supposed to get the impression that something isn't quite right with him. And I'm pretty sure he gets revealed to be evil less than halfway through, so he's not really a twist villain. But it works is that the toys think, oh, he's just this nice guy who welcomes them there and tells them how all this works, and they're all gonna be happy. But after they all get beaten up miserably from being played with, Buzz goes to find Lotso and see what's going on. Where things do not go quite as he wants them to, because here is where we just really get to see how evil this guy is. So, when he tells them that the toys they want to go to the other room so they can get played with by children who aren't super rough, and he tells them that, you see, Lightyear, I want we're the older toys, and we just can't take such rough play anymore. We'd appreciate if you newer folks would stay there with the younger kids. And Buzz says, oh, I guess that makes sense. But we're a family. We have to stick together. And he says, oh, family man, huh? Well, I was afraid of that. So he has his goons tie Buzz to the floor, and they open him up and turn on his demo mode, which turns him back into the old he thinks he's a real space ranger thing, which I want to talk about that really quickly. Some people can complain that they reused that whole Buzz thinks he's a space ranger thing for the second time. And I think it's done differently enough here so it still doesn't get annoying or anything, especially since they do interesting things with it, but this raises a question for me. Yes, I know toys in real life do have demo modes. They say that, oh, the reason in the first two movies is that, oh, the reason Buzz thought he was a real space ranger is because right as he came out of the box, that's what he thought he was. Okay. But here it says it's because he was in the box, he was in demo mode, that's why he thought he was a real space ranger. Okay, but in the first movie, he doesn't find out what he really is because of his buttons get turned on. He just realizes it through his whole character arc. So this does not make any sense. Maybe he defied his programming in the first movie. It would have been nice to elaborate on that a bit, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty small detail and really doesn't matter that much. But so the point is, Buzz gets turned into one of Lotso's goons, and the other toys get locked up in a prison, basically. And when Woody tried to escape, he lost his hat, so Lotso had his goons find Woody's hat, and he knows Woody's probably alive somewhere, just he ran away. But he just tosses it for all the other toys to see, and to make them think that Woody died. Oy. And then there's nothing they can do because they're just going to be trapped in here until morning where they'll be released, they'll be beaten up in terrible play more, and then they'll be locked up again, probably. So Lotso pretty much has running this entire crazy prison thing. But then we see what happened to Woody. So when he escaped, he got found by some little girl named Bonnie who took him in as a new toy. And he tells her toys that he's from the Sunnyside. He escaped the Sunnyside daycare. And she has one toy who knows what that is, because he escaped there too. He escaped Lotso. This little clown guy who says that Lotso, as well as one of Lotso's goons, a Big Baby, they used to have the same owner. They were loved by this girl named Daisy, and he said that, Daisy loved us all, but you've never seen a kid love a toy more than she loved Lotso. But one day, she lost all the three of them, which, by the way, this is totally her parents' fault, meaning that so much of this movie's plot would not happen if her parents didn't just think, I think we left our daughter's super important, valuable toys to her on the park or something. And they waited for her to come back, but she never did. So eventually, they spent days and days trying to make it back home, and they finally did. But they looked through the window, and Lotso saw that she replaced him. Now, just him, by the way, and he's the only one who saw this. Well, I think Chuckle saw it too, the clown. And when he sees this, Big Baby wants to climb in, but he just grabs the necklace she has that says "My heart belongs to Daisy" and says, "She don't love you no more. She replaced us." And with that, as Chuckles says, and that day something changed in Lotso and he was never the same. They eventually found Sunnyside Daycare, where Lotso effectively took it over, but since Chuckles broke a bit, they just let him escape. And from that moment on, that's how things have been there. After hearing this, Woody realizes that he can't just leave his friends there. He knows that they're pretty much in a prison. So he goes back and they all begin to set up an escape plan. This is I like escapes in movies. I mean, I haven't seen too many, but you should see The Great Escape if you haven't. It's a really good prisoner of war escape movie. It inspired the Chicken Run, which is also about it's about chickens trying to escape a farm, except it's made to look like a prisoner of war camp the Nazis had, but with chickens. So yeah, the toys plan their big escape, and they really make sure that this place is super locked down. There is only one way to escape, and if this plan doesn't work, then they are never getting out. So I don't really want to go over in detail how this whole thing works, but one part is they have to escape this creepy monkey toy that is watching all these surveillance cameras, and they're able to do it. And for this whole big escape sequence, they're finally able to get out. But that's when things do not quite go the way they want to. Toys are able to get into the trash chute, which is where they try, because the only way to get out is through the trash. They get into the trash chute, they're about to be able to escape this place, but Lasso and his goons show up to confront them. And he tells them that there's no need for them to escape. If they just listen to him and join his family, then they'll be just fine. But as Jesse says, I don't want to be part of any family of yours. And Lotso goes on about how, here's a piece of plastic. That's all a toy is, waiting to be thrown away. But then Woody tells him, Lotso says that a kid never really loves a toy. He just pretends to. He can just be replaced immediately. And the kids don't really matter to a toy. And that's when Woody says, "What about Daisy, huh?" And this expression from Lotso is you can definitely tell this is when his demeanor changed for the rest of the movie, as he just says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And Woody shows him the necklace he got from Chuckles. It seems that all of her toys had the thing that said, "My heart belongs to Daisy." And he shows this, says, "Yeah, she loved you." Of course a kid loves a toy. But Lotso is infuriated. He just says, "Where did you get that?" And Big Baby tries to reach for it, but he just tells him, "You want your mommy? She didn't love you. She never loved any of us. She replaced us." But Woody responds with, "She replaced you, Lotso, and you've been lying to Big Baby this whole time." And then Lotso just takes the token and crushes it, as he gives his whole big speech about how, yeah, a toy is just a piece of plastic waiting to be thrown away. Which is when Big Baby grabs him and tosses him in the trash. And the toys are able to escape, but the aliens get caught in the trash can a bit. So while Woody tries to grab them, he gets them out, but then Lotso grabs Woody and pulls him into the dumpster. And all the other toys get in to try to rescue him, which is where we get the movie's epic climax, which I knew what this movie's climax was before I watched it, but actually seeing it, especially after seeing the first two as well, boy is this intense. And I'm really glad they did not pull any punches for this. So the toys are in the dumpster and they eventually get driven through a garbage truck to a dump where they go into a trash compactor, meaning first they almost get shredded to pieces. And all the toys are able to get up and escape the shredder, but Lotso gets stuck there. And because Woody is so loyal, he would never leave anyone behind. He goes to try to rescue Lotso, and because of this, Buzz and Jesse go there with him to help rescue him. They're able to get up top, escape the shredder, just barely by the way, which is a super tense scene. And they say, "Look, I see daylight," but Woody just says, "I don't think that's daylight." Because they're about to get caught by a trash incinerator and get burned alive. And the toys, all of them are falling in except for Lotso. He's able to get to the top where you can push the button and save and stop the incinerator, save them all. As Woody yells, "Lotso, push the button!" And he just looks at them and says, "Where's your kid now, Sheriff?" And he runs away and leaves them all to die in the incinerator. And all the toys, as Jesse yells at Buzz, "Buzz, what do we do?" He just looks at her, grabs her hand. All the toys look at each other, grab each other's hands, and accept their doom. Yeah, it's definitely quite different watching this and actually describing what happens. But again, I'm glad they didn't pull their punches here. I'm glad they played this as seriously as they did. There is no dialogue. It's just carried by the music and the characters' faces, which say everything and more than what the dialogue could have said. They're all about to die, but the last second, they get saved by a crane that picks them up, and we hear the aliens say, "La Cla." Because remember, and this doesn't just come out of nowhere. Okay, it's always going to feel a little out of nowhere for something to have saved the toys here, but this does make sense because remember, we didn't actually see the aliens with all the other toys as they're about to get incinerated. And in this previous movie, they said to the Potato Heads, "We are eternally grateful. We are in your debt." And in the first movie, they get rescued from a claw machine, and they say, "The claw." So this actually feels the thing that could happen. This doesn't just come out of nowhere. And the toys are finally able to be saved. They're able to get out of this trash incinerator, and their greatest adventure has finally ended. But there's still a little more to go. One, Lotso did escape, but a trash or a garbage truck rolls by. He has to freeze, and a garbage man picks him up and says, "Hey, I used to have one of these when I was a kid." And he straps him to the front of the truck with just something. Apparently, garbage truck drivers actually do that with stuffed animals. They'll strap them to the front of a garbage truck. So Lotso is strapped to the front of a garbage truck, forever. Now, one could say that he deserved to die, which I mean, okay, yeah, he kind of did, but I like this a lot because his whole big plot was he was controlling Sunnyside. He was controlling all these toys, but now his arms and legs are strapped to the front of a truck. He can no longer even move. He can't control anyone, not even himself now. Really, this is the perfect ending he could have got. He deserved this. But then we get to the real climax, which when I first watched this movie, it did not make me cry. It almost did, because I totally understood all the emotional weight behind this. But when I watched it for a second time, yeah, I did cry. The only three other movies that made me do that were It's a Wonderful Life, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which I really got to review sometime. But anyway, so the toys are able to get back to Andy's house, clean themselves up, which I like it actually shows them clean themselves up. It's a nice touch. And they go back into their box, ready to be shipped off to the attic. But Woody, while Andy's not looking, writes a note that says to donate, and he puts the donate to someone. We think it's to donate to Sunnyside Daycare. After all, it'd probably be good for the toys to get donated there now. I mean, now that Lotso is gone. But we don't exactly see what he writes. So when he gets back in the box, and when Andy sees the note, he just says to his mom, "You really think I should donate these?" And she says, "Well, yeah, sure." So he brings them to Bonnie, because that's probably what Woody wrote. Donate to Bonnie, because he got played with her earlier in the movie. He saw that she was a nice kid, but took good care of her toys. And it helps that, yeah, since we saw Bonnie take good care of her toys, doesn't feel, you feel like, yeah, this is a good ending. This is good. Andy gives away his toys to this nice little kid that he knows is going to take care of them. And we see him go one by one with each of his toys, say how important they are to him, how he needs her to take care of them. But he doesn't give away Woody just yet. He gives this nice little speech about how he's always had him and he's always been really important to him and he wants her to take good care of him. And he's able to give Woody away as she holds all his toys happy as she sees Andy drive away to college. She goes inside her house with her parents. All the toys are able to sit up front as Woody just looks at him drive away and says, "So long, old partner." And all the toys are just really happy. They're together for infinity and beyond, just as they wanted. They have a nice new owner, some other toys too they can make friends with, and it pans away to a shot of the sky, just the way the first movie opened. And that's how it ends. What a great ending. I mean, okay, time to address Toy Story 4 because I know I have to. Yeah, if you saw my Pixar ranking, you know I hate Toy Story 4. I don't understand how there are people who like this ending and then still say that Toy Story 4 is an even better ending or at least a good ending because how exactly? Okay, one, ignoring the fact that Toy Story 4's plot is driven completely on contrivances and makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and assassinates all the characters. It also just goes against this ending. This nice, happy ending that was treated as a good thing, because it is a good thing, got destroyed. But whatever, that's for another time. I don't want to talk about that because what else is there to say about Toy Story 4 other than that it's terrible? But this ending, it's great. It's really nice, feel good ending. I like that. This isn't even some kind of bittersweet ending really. It's just a okay, the toys had to let go of Andy, but Andy grew up. What was he gonna do with them anyway? I think this is Pixar's first of their two trilogies. The second one being Cars, which also had a really nice ending that I'd like to talk about eventually someday, but this is just a really great ending. In conclusion, I really love Toy Story 3. Yeah, Toy Story, I still prefer Toy Story 2 a little more, and neither of these are my favorite Pixar movies. No. They're great, though. I still really like them both. I don't have the emotional connection to Toy Story that a lot of other people do, but I can still acknowledge that this trilogy was great. It's really good. Who couldn't like it? And I'm really glad that this movie did as well as it did. A lot of people say the trilogies don't have good endings, which, at least for most of the trilogies I'd seen, they have good to great endings, but this is just one of the best I've seen. It's only beaten by How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, there's never going to be a trilogy ending better than that, of course, but so oh, one thing I want to address before I close off this video is that can we talk about how great the visuals are in this movie? I think this is easily the best looking Toy Story movie because it's not like Toy Story 4 where it just goes so hard with the realistic backgrounds, even making the toys look too alive to a point where they don't even really look like toys anymore. And it just loses the simple charm that the first two movies had. But even though this came out 11 years after the second one, they just applied the principle that the best animated sequels do. The same but better. Make it look like the previous movies just at a higher quality. So it's still able to capture that simple charm even though it still looks really impressive. And I quite like that. This is a really nice look. So, in conclusion, Toy Story 3 is a great ending to a great trilogy that I will always love for infinity and beyond. So, comment down below what you thought. That's all for now, and as always, keep on juicing!